So you asked about what else is going to happen. Every 6 months I oscillate. So we're on it's an even odd oscillation. So at the moment, the gap between the frontier models, of which there are now only 3, I'll review who they are, and everybody else appears to me to be getting larger. 6 months ago, I was convinced that the gap was getting smaller. So I invested lots of money in the little companies. Now I'm not so sure. And I'm talking to the big companies, and the big companies are telling me that they need 10 billion, 20 billion, 50 billion, 100 billion.
Stargate is 100 billion, right?
They're very, very hard. Sam Altman is a close friend. He believes that it's going to take about 300 billion, maybe more. I pointed out to him that I'd done the calculation on the amount of energy required. And I then, in the spirit of full disclosure, went to the White House on Friday and told them that we need to become best friends with Canada. Because Canada has really nice people, helped invent AI, and lots of hydropower. Because we as a country do not have enough power to do this. The alternative is to have the Arabs fund it. And I like the Arabs personally. I spent lots of time there, right? But they're not going to adhere to our national security rules, whereas Canada and the US are part of a triumvirate where we all agree on.
So these $100 billion, $300 billion data centers, electricity starts becoming the scarce resource.
And by the way, if you follow this line of reasoning, why did I discuss CUDA and Nvidia? If $300 billion is all going to go to Nvidia, you know what to do in the stock market. Okay. That's not a stock recommendation. I'm not a licensed.
Google finally admits that they were very late to the AI party, and their incompetence and cold feet has brought them nothing but tremulous troubles along the road and a shaky future they are quite unsure of. Did you ever imagine the tech titan, Google, admitting to having been too cautious and scared? In a stunning revelation at the All-In Summit, Sergey Brin, co-founder of Alphabet Inc., disclosed that the behemoth was overly cautious about unleashing language models they essentially pioneered. Despite the company's groundbreaking work on the Transformer paper 7 years ago, they hesitated on making these powerful tools available to the public. Brin attributed this reticence to fear of mistakes and potential embarrassment, and this admission is shaking the tech world to its core, raising eyebrows and questions among investors and analysts alike. Let's delve into this fascinating narrative. Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy.
Well, part of it, so we're going to need a lot more chips, but Intel is getting a lot of money from the U.S. government, AMD, and they're trying to build, fabs in Korea.
Raise your hand if you have an Intel computer in your Intel chip in any of your computing devices. Okay, so much for the monopoly.
Well, that's the point, though. They once did have a monopoly.
Absolutely.
And Nvidia has a monopoly now. So are those barriers to entry, like CUDA? Is there something that So I was talking to Percy Lang the other day. He's switching between TPUs and Nvidia chips depending on what he can get access to for
That's
training
because
the
he
models.
doesn't have a choice. If he had infinite money, he would pick the B200 architecture out of Nvidia because it would be faster. And I'm not suggesting, it's great to have competition. I've talked to AMD and Lisa Su at great length.
Yeah.
They have built a thing which will translate from this CUDA architecture that you were describing to their own, which is called ROCm. It doesn't quite work yet.
So there you have it. Google, or should we say Alphabet Inc., might have been holding back. The Transformer paper they published 7 years ago laid the groundwork for today's advanced language models, but ironically, it seems Google itself was too timid to deploy them. This confession came straight from Sergey Brin at the All-In Summit, and it struck a chord as though the tech legend had just cracked open one of Silicon Valley's biggest secrets. Why was Google so cautious? Brin was upfront. The fear of making really stupid mistakes and causing embarrassment. But, as he pointed out, even the most advanced models are not mistake-free. These models can make incredibly powerful tools, Brin noted. Innovations are inherently risky, especially in an arena that evolves as rapidly as technology. Yet, he argued that withholding such advancements until they are perfect is not the answer. Fast forward to May, when Gene Munster of Deepwater Asset Management provided a sharper contrast by asserting that Google was already 6 months behind OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, in AI development. Yet, paradoxically, they were still believed to be about 5 years ahead of the rest of the industry. If you're doing the math, this implies that even in their hesitance, Google's capabilities were extraordinary. Speaking of GPT, let's not overlook Microsoft's giant leap. It's no secret that their multi-billion-dollar investment in OpenAI was driven by the relentless pressure to stay competitive with Alphabet in the AI race. Remember that internal email from Microsoft hinting at their anxiety over falling behind Alphabet's AI prowess? Competition drives innovation, but it also fuels a palpable tension in the industry. The atmosphere feels like a thrilling stock car race where every split second counts. But before we go any further, if you want to keep up with Google's latest updates and keep up with the stock market's latest news, you can follow our Twitter account. We post multiple times daily about the biggest changes and catalysts in the market, so click the follow button if you don't want to miss the newest market updates. That said, back to the video.
And the problem here, the reason I'm being so harsh about work is that these are systems which have network effects, so time matters a lot. And in most businesses, time doesn't matter that much. Right? You have lots of time. You know, Coke and Pepsi will still be around, and the fight between Coke and Pepsi will continue to go along, and it's all glacial, right? When I dealt with telcos, the typical telco deal would take 18 months to sign, right? There's no reason to take 18 months to do anything. Get it done. It's just, we're in a period of maximum growth, maximum gain. So, and also it takes crazy ideas. Like when Microsoft did the OpenAI deal, I thought that was the stupidest idea I'd ever heard. Outsourcing essentially your AI leadership to OpenAI and Sam and his team. I mean, that's insane. Nobody would do that at Microsoft or anywhere else. And yet today, they're on their way to being the most valuable company. They're certainly head-to-head in Apple. Apple does not have a good AI solution, and it looks like they made it work.
When a 16-year Google veteran criticized the company's AI strategy as being driven more by panic rather than user-centric design, it added another layer to this unfolding drama. It's almost like watching a suspense thriller, and you can't help but speculate, did the fear of falling behind create an atmosphere of urgency, even panic, within one of the world's most powerful tech corporations? Makes you wonder what Google's water cooler chats are like these days. Brin's remarks at the summit echoed a cry for more risk-taking. Despite the occasional errors these models might produce, the overall potential for transformative progress is immense. Whether it's facilitating complex workflows or enabling new realms of automation, the upside far outweighs the potential downsides. The takeaway is clear. Google needs to take the plunge and let the public experiment with these models, bugs and all. In an ever-evolving landscape, being a technological pioneer isn't merely about creating something groundbreaking. It's about having the courage to release it into the wild, imperfections and all. Alphabet's internal struggle and recent candidness bring to light an essential principle of innovation and progress. Sometimes, the fear of making mistakes can be the greatest mistake of all. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
But now it doesn't seem like they've kind of lost the initiative to OpenAI, and even the last leaderboard I saw, Anthropic's Claude was at the top of the list. I asked Sundar this. He didn't really give me a very sharp answer. Maybe you have a sharper or a more objective explanation for what's going on there.
I'm no longer a Google employee.
Yes.
In the spirit of full disclosure, Google decided that work-life balance and going home early and working from home was more important than winning. And the reason startups work is because the people work like hell. And I'm sorry to be so blunt, but the fact of the matter is if you all leave the university and go found a company, you're not going to let people work from home and only come in one day a week if you want to compete against the other startups.
When in the early days of Google, Microsoft was like that.
Exactly.
But now it seems to be...
And there's a long history of, in my industry, our industry, I guess, of companies winning in a genuinely creative way and really dominating a space and not making the next transition. It's very well documented. And I think that the truth is founders are special. The founders need to be in charge. The founders are difficult to work with. They push people hard. As much as we can dislike Elon's personal behavior, look at what he gets out of people.
The revelations around Google's hesitation and current AI landscape spotlight a unique investment opportunity. Alphabet Inc., with its rich history of innovation and technological prowess, is poised for a breakthrough. Despite their cautious past, the potential for Alphabet to reassert its dominance in the AI field is evident. As they navigate these uncharted waters, the experience and capital they bring to the table create a fertile ground for growth. Currently, Alphabet is under intense scrutiny and riding a wave of renewed interest. Analysts are optimistic, with forecasts predicting substantial growth as they begin to deploy these advanced language models more liberally. The stock's current position is strong, with significant upward potential as the company shifts its strategy from cautious to daring. So, here's the million-dollar question. What do you think about Alphabet's cautious approach and their potential to dominate the AI landscape once again? Is this the perfect moment to invest in a tech giant ready to reclaim its cutting-edge reputation? Share your thoughts. Or better yet, take a closer look at Alphabet's stock performance and decide if now is the time to ride the wave of innovation with them. And finally, if you would like to know what companies like Google have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.